We've been following the Epstein files for a long time, and everyone's dream about the files has come true. All of us, anyone, over the next handful of days are going to be able to go view in person all of the Epstein files. Now, this story opens with something that really almost sounds unreal. Imagine walking into a small pop-up exhibit in New York City and seeing on the shelf after shelf, filled with printed documents, not books, not art, but 3.5 million pages connected to one of the most infamous criminal scandals in modern American history. We're talking about Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein files, of course. And according to the organizers behind the exhibit, the entire purpose is to force the public to confront what they believe has been hidden in plain sight for so many years. Today we're diving into the bizarre new exhibit called the Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Reading Room. Why it's causing controversy online, what exactly is inside of these 3.5 million pages of documents, and why many people believe the Epstein story is far from over. So let's break this down. A transparency advocacy organization called the Institute for Primary Facts has opened a temporary exhibit in Tribeca neighborhood in New York City. The exhibit officially opened on May 8th and contains every publicly released Epstein-related document that's come out under what's known as the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Now notice, we're talking about the files that have come out. And there are millions of other files that have yet to be released as well, so we need to keep that in mind, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. Now, when I say every document, I'm talking about every single document of those 3.5 million that have already been released. The organizers say that they printed out roughly 3.5 million pages of records and bound them into more than 3,400 physical volumes. The shelves are stacked floor to ceiling with binders and books full of court records, communications, legal findings, investigative materials, and government documents connected to Jeffrey Epstein and his network. Now, visually, this thing is apparently overwhelming, and let's be honest here, that's the point. The creators behind the exhibit say they wanted people to physically see the scale of this scandal in a way that online headlines and social media posts like this one simply can't communicate. The website even says the truth is hard to deny when it's printed and bound for you to see. By the way, I want to thank you guys for subscribing to the channel. As I'm going through this whole story, I'm drinking myself my morning coffee. What are you drinking today? And I hope you're enjoying it. Now, whether you agree with the politics or not, and this is not a political post, the statement alone is, well, it's pretty freaking powerful. Because most people hear the term Epstein files and think of a few leaked names online, a couple of flight logs or viral X threads. But seeing millions of pages physically printed out creates a very different emotional reaction. It forces people to confront how massive the entire case really is. Now, one thing that's important to clarify here is that the general public actually cannot freely sit down and read through all the files. I know, that's disappointing. Let me be honest with you, I live fairly near this. And if I could, I would go and do a live stream session reading through all of the files live for 24 hours with you, but it doesn't work that way. According to reports, there were mistakes made during the release process where certain victims' names were not properly redacted by the DOJ. Because of that, access is restricted. And I'm not surprised that the Department of Justice made some redaction errors. Are you? So while the exhibit itself is open to the public, only certain professionals like journalists and lawyers are reportedly allowed to directly consult the documents themselves. I mean, hey, I'm a journalist, kind of. Maybe I could go look at this. And that detail alone has added even more fuel to the online debate surrounding these files, because for years now, people across the political spectrum have believed that powerful individuals connected to Epstein were protected. Some believe important names are still being hidden. Others believe the government intentionally slow-walked investigations, and others think the public has still not received the full truth about what happened behind the scenes. And I think we could all agree with that. Now, the exhibit becomes even more controversial because it doesn't just focus on Jeffrey Epstein. A major section of the display reportedly highlights a long and complicated relationship between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. According to historical reports, Trump and Epstein were friends for years before eventually falling out around 2004 after a dispute involving properties. There are photographs, public appearances, party footage, and documented social connections between the two that have circulated online for decades now, many of which I've shared with you guys right here on this channel. Trump has repeatedly denied wrongdoing and has publicly distanced himself from Epstein ever since Epstein's arrest and eventual death in federal custody back in 2019. And that's where the story becomes politically explosive, because the creators of the exhibit openly say they believe the Trump administration mishandled the release of the Epstein documents. They argue that there needs to be a greater accountability and greater public pressure surrounding the investigation and the release of the process. One of the organizers, David Garrett, described the exhibit as an attempt to create public awareness about corruption and what he views as dangers to democracy in the United States. He said he wanted to create real public outcry regarding how the files are being handled. Now, obviously, this is where opinions online become very divided. Some people view the exhibit as an important public accountability project designed to preserve evidence and keep attention on a case involving elite, powerful structures. Others see it as politically motivated activism, specifically targeting Trump, while broader questions about Epstein's entire network remain unanswered. And I think something that many people, no matter Democrat, Republican, or how you identify, we could all agree on that the Epstein case, the Epstein files, has become one of the biggest symbols of public distrust in modern institutions. Because think about it. You had a billionaire financier with connections to celebrities, politicians, royalties, billionaires, academics, and powerful business figures from around the world. He was arrested multiple times. He received controversial plea deals. His social circles include some of the most influential people on the entire earth. Then in 2019, while awaiting trial on federal trafficking charges, including young people, he died in federal custody under circumstances that immediately triggered massive public suspicion and endless conspiracy theories online. Ever since then, people have been demanding transparency. People want names, and we all want that accountability. We want to know who knew what happened, who protected them, who participated in things, and whatever justice, whether it was actually served or not. And the reason this exhibit is getting so much attention right now is because it taps directly into that frustration. The organizers essentially turned the Epstein files into a political monument to unanswered questions. And honestly, the visual symbolism is hard to ignore. Thousands of volumes, millions of pages, an entire room dedicated to one of the darkest and most controversial scandals in modern America. Now, another cool thing about this story that's pretty interesting is how much this reflects the internet era that we're currently living in, because we all know that everything revolves around the web. In previous decades, scandals were controlled almost entirely by traditional media and government institutions, but today, online communities, independent journalists, content creators, and citizen investigators play a massive role in shaping public narratives. That's literally what we do here on this channel. We share what's the truth, and we're controlled by no one. An Epstein story has become one of the biggest examples of this shift. Entire online communities spent years analyzing flight logs, court filings, photographs, connections, timelines, and public records, trying to piece together the full story themselves. Some people become completely obsessed with this investigation, and according to reports surrounding this exhibit, the organizers are essentially trying to transform the digital obsession into a real-world, physical experience. That is the purpose of this exhibit. Now, whether the exhibit actually changes public opinion is another question entirely. Some people will walk away believing it's an important act of transparency, while others will see it as a political theater. But one thing that's undeniable: the Epstein story will be an incredible grip on public attention years after his death. And that alone says something about the level of distrust many people have towards institutions, powerful individuals, and official narratives today. And I think something that's really important here is, yes, Epstein is allegedly no longer with us, but all of the people who were intertwined in the web of evil that he had built, him and Ghislaine Maxwell had built, are still there, conducting business as usual, and having served no penalties for any of their crimes. So in my opinion, this is actually far from over. This exhibit is only going to be around until the 21st of May, meaning this is a temporary exhibit. But because of the viral nature of the topic, images and videos from inside the exhibit are already spreading rapidly across social media, and I am sure that we're going to have many of them shown throughout this video. You've probably seen a bunch already. And honestly, this feels like one of those stories that's bigger than just the exhibit itself, because at its core, this isn't only Jeffrey Epstein. It's about public trust. It's about transparency. It's about whether people believe the powerful are ever truly held accountable. And clearly, millions of people still feel like they haven't gotten real answers. So what do you think about this exhibit? How does it strike you? Is this something that's powerful, that's going to open the eyes of the public and really put more light on the Epstein files? Or is this something that's going to be looked at as a joke and no one really looks at the severity of it? If you want to go deeper into the entire story of the Epstein files, well, this channel has you covered in full, and this video in particular will take you through the depths. I'll see you guys over there.